Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Tuesday, September the 8th. Going to break down these two games. We got Game 5 between Miami and Milwaukee, and then we got Game 3 between the Lakers and the Rockets. We'll break down these two games, take a look at this slate, go position by position like we always do. We'll hit on guys that I like the most, looking at the slate on Monday night. Just giving you guys some of my early thoughts. We'll run through the DraftKings player pool. We'll touch on some guys I do like over on Yahoo as well. Just before we do get started, guys, a couple things I want to mention. So if you missed it, I did upload my first NFL video of the season yesterday. My first look for the Week 1 slate did go up yesterday. That video is already up on my channel. So if you are planning to play NFL this season, which I'm sure a large amount of you are, my NFL video for Week 1, my first look, it did go up yesterday. Yesterday afternoon. So if you want to check that out, I would greatly appreciate it. I will have my video up for the shut-on slate for the Thursday night football game. That video will most likely go up sometime Tuesday afternoon. So, I would appreciate it if you would check that video out as well. I will have a ton of NFL content coming out throughout the week, probably 3 to 4 videos every week, and I will still be making NBA videos every day. As long as we have 2 NBA games a day, as long as we have a 2-game slate to play, I probably won't be making videos for showdown slates, but as long as there's 2 games, I will have NBA videos up on the channel. Gonna keep pumping out NBA content as well. And for those of you that are interested, I do have MLB stuff over on Patreon. I know I haven't been putting up videos on YouTube for MLB, but I do have stuff over on Patreon if you want to check that out. The link to the Patreon is linked down below. If you do want to get more content from me, if you want to see all that I have to offer, the Patreon is linked down in the description. You can check that out. But like always, guys, appreciate if you would hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. If you are new here, I do upload NBA videos a ton to this channel every single day, getting out a ton of content right now. Would appreciate it if you would subscribe. Be sure to click the notification bell as well, so that way you get notified every time I upload. You'll never miss out on any of my new videos. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at this slate. We will start off at the top of the point guard position like we always do. So at the top here, we got LeBron for $11,200. Harden for $11,000, so LeBron actually more expensive than Harden today, which is something we haven't seen. So I think I still prefer LeBron here, even though he's more expensive than Harden now. Like, I watched a lot of that game last game, and they were double teaming Harden a lot. Harden just wasn't able to get any momentum going, wasn't really able to do much offensively. When he got the ball in his hands, there was 2 Lakers running straight at him, forcing him to throw it to someone else. So I'm kind of scared of Harden right now. He hasn't looked great so far. He hasn't been great for fantasy. I feel much better with LeBron. LeBron was really good last game. Gave you what you would expect from him. 28 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists. Was 1 assist shy of a triple-double. 2 blocks and 4 steals as well. 65 DraftKings points for LeBron last game. Played 39 minutes. You expect him to play 38 to 40 minutes a day yet again. I think I'm going to continue to play Anthony Davis over LeBron, especially because AD is still, $600 less on DraftKings. He's still cheaper than him on Yahoo. Plus, there's a lot of, mid-range options I like at point guard. There is a value play that, really stands out here as well today. So for that reason, LeBron's going to be probably my second favorite star on the slate behind AD, but I do really like LeBron here. I do prefer him over Harden. Like I said, Harden just hasn't really been getting it done for fantasy lately. He got double teamed a lot in that game. I assume they're going to play similar defense on him here. Sure, Harden always has upside to go out there. He can drop 65, 70 DK points at any time, and I wouldn't be surprised. But, the Rockets do have guys that can score. Eric Gordon's been knocking down a ton of shots. He's been scoring pretty good. PJ Tucker's been knocking down some threes as well. I know Westbrook's been terrible, but they've got other guys that can step up and score, when they need to. They've got guys that can knock down threes. So for me, I think I'd rather play LeBron over Harden. Maybe, I don't even think that's really a hot take. I think that's kind of the way a lot of people are going. Harden, he's really been like the lowest owned stud every slate so far, and I think he's going to be the lowest owned stud again. So I guess that does make him appealing, but yeah, for me, just give me LeBron over Harden. LeBron's just played so much better. LeBron's just so consistent, gives you, 40 or close to 40 minutes a night, 38 to 40 minutes. Most nights, when he plays his full minutes, he's going to give you at least 50, 55 DK points, even on a bad night. And, we know he's got triple-double upside. Can go out there and drop 65, 70. So, yeah, that's my take there. If I'm paying up at point guard, I prefer LeBron over Harden. Westbrook killed me last slate. I had a ton of him. He was one of my favorite plays on the slate on Sunday, I believe it was. Just didn't do anything, man. Just looked really bad. Wasn't great from the field. Didn't shoot the ball that well. Just 26% from the field. Just 14% from three. Only finished with 34 DK points in 33 minutes. The price did come down a little bit on Westbrook. I still like Westbrook. I'm still going to have exposure to him. I don't know if he's going to be a core play for me like he was on the last slate. I don't know if I'm going to have as much exposure to him then as I do today. But I still will have exposure to Westbrook. Even though he's disappointed the last few games, this is still a guy that has a ton of upside. He only played 33 minutes last game, but I assume we're going to eventually see Westbrook get up to, 36, 38 minutes, his normal minutes that he will be playing most nights. So I still do like Westbrook quite a bit. Goran Dragic I like as well. I've just been playing Goran Dragic every slate. He wasn't great the last slate, but 7,200 on DK I still think is a nice price tag for him. And coming in over on Yahoo, you got Dragic $25. I think he looks really good over there as well. So last game, really disappointing game from Dragic. Only shot 29% from the field, just 11% from three, and he still gave you 35 Draftkings points, even though he shot the ball incredibly poorly. I mean, if Dragic even knocks down, 45, 50% of his shots, which is normally what he makes, he's going to give you his normal 40 to 45 DK points. Dragic just shot the ball really bad last game. That's not going to happen again here. We know this is a guy that's very productive when he gets minutes, and right now he's locked into 34 to 36 minutes a night. Played 40 minutes last game, but that was due to, overtime. At the end of regulation, he had played 35 minutes, his normal 35 minutes. So expect 34 to 36 minutes from Dragic today. As long as he doesn't shoot the ball as bad as he did last game, he's probably going to give you around 40 DK points, maybe even more, especially if he gets hot. Dragic is a guy that can just contribute in all categories, can score, can get rebounds, can get assists as well, just does a little bit of everything. I really like Dragic. I'm going to keep playing him. He's one of my favorite plays yet again. Definitely like him on both sides today. Eric Bledsoe is going to be a wait and see for me. So right now, Giannis is questionable heading into this game. My best guess is that Giannis plays. Because of the playoffs, I assume he just kind of just tries to power through it. But we'll have to see here. If Giannis plays, Bledsoe did see his price jump up to $6,200, so I'm not as interested in him at that price. I still think he's viable, especially on a 2-game slate. You can still play Bledsoe. He finally did have a good game last game, but obviously, he benefited because Giannis missed half that game. Giannis, I believe, got hurt right at the start of the second quarter or around that. Giannis was crushing last game before he got hurt. So obviously, Bledsoe benefited there. With the price coming up, I'll still have him in some lineups if Giannis plays, but I won't be nearly as high on him now that the price has come up to $6,200. If Giannis is out, though, Bledsoe, even at $6,200, is going to be a great play if Giannis is out. So this will be a wait and see for me. If Giannis plays, Bledsoe's a fine option, but not a core play. If Giannis is out, Bledsoe will definitely become, one of my favorite plays of the day. Same with George Hill. George Hill will get a slight boost if Giannis is out. They did run a lot of Hill and Bledsoe alongside each other last game whenever Giannis got hurt. I assume, you'd see them run those two guys together a lot again. Hill did play big minutes. He got up to 37 minutes last game. So that he would see, probably around 30 minutes if Giannis were to sit. He would be viable at 4,400. But I think the clear value at point guard today is Rajon Rondo. So I was pretty wrong on, I got lucky last slate. I did have Rondo in one of my better lineups on Yahoo that took down the tournament, but I definitely had a way more Caruso over Rondo last slate. That was a mistake on my part. Obviously Rondo smashed and Caruso really didn't do anything. I think Rondo is the clear value, though. He's getting the minutes right now. His first game back, he played 25 minutes. Last game, he played 29 minutes, 22 and 37 Draftkings points. I don't know if Rondo gets 29 minutes again, but I think it's very likely you see at least mid-20s. I think 22 to 24 is probably a floor. He has the upside to play around 30 minutes. He's looked so good recently, contributing in all categories. One thing when it comes to Rondo, he is a very productive player when he gets minutes. Unlike guys like, Caruso, these Danny Green, KCP, these guys, they can play 35 minutes and give you 20 DK points. Rarely is Rondo going to disappoint if he's playing, close to 30 minutes. He can score, he can rebound. He got lucky with 5 steals last game, but he still gave you 9 points, 3 rebounds, 10 points, 3 rebounds, 9 assists to go along with the 5 steals. At 3,900, DraftKings definitely messed up here, leaving Rondo this cheap. I assume he's going to be really popular today, but it's kind of hard to get away from him on this 2-game slate. I mean, I don't know what other value you would pivot to because there really is no other value. Like, you could maybe play Caruso, but Rondo just has way more upside than Caruso, especially now that, I feel pretty confident Rondo's going to get the minutes. Caruso did play 26 minutes, though, last game. Obviously not nearly as productive, just 10 DraftKings points. But I think the Lakers have, they've kind of figured out that, playing JaVale McGee, playing Dwight Howard is not the way to go in this series. We should see, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a change in the Lakers starting lineup. We already know that JaVale McGee is questionable, so there's a chance he doesn't play this game. Dwight Howard, he was healthy last game, but he did not play at all, was a DNP. It's very possible that you see both Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee not touch the floor at all in this series. So that maybe means someone like Caruso could enter the starting lineup. I wouldn't be surprised if Caruso starts. I wouldn't be surprised if Rondo starts. Both those guys will become really, obviously, Rondo, I think whether he starts or not, it's going to be a great value. But Caruso would get a slight bump up for me, if he winds up starting. I think we probably will most likely see a new Lakers starting lineup today. Keep an eye on that, heading up to the 9 o'clock game. Rondo, though, whether he starts or comes off the bench, he's a great value on both sides. He is very cheap on Yahoo as well, just $13. Definitely like him over there. I assume if he comes off the bench, he still plays around 23 to 25 minutes. If he starts, maybe you see him get around 30 minutes. Even playing alongside LeBron and AD, Rondo can still be productive with just, how much he can contribute in all categories, with how he can score, rebound, get assists, get steals. Just does a little bit of everything. So definitely like Rondo. Top value play today, in my opinion. Caruso's viable as well, but, not nearly as good of a play as Rondo, in my opinion. Dante DiVincenzo, if Giannis winds up out, I think he would become viable. 3,500. He did start the second half in place of Giannis, so there's a chance he would start today if Giannis is out. But let's move on to shooting guard now. We'll talk about this position. So Jimmy Butler, 8,500. I haven't really been on Jimmy Butler that much so far in this series. Probably won't be on him today either at 8,500. He's viable for sure, but Jimmy Butler's just not a guy I feel like I have to have. If he makes it into some lineups, I'm okay with that. But he's never one of the first guys I'm clicking into my lineup, especially at 8,500. If he was 7,600, 7,700, it'd be a much more appealing, he'd be a much more appealing option. But at 8,500, if he doesn't get over 50 DK points, he's going to be a pretty disappointing play at his price. Butler still has that upside, but there's definitely a pretty low floor on him, and we've seen that so far in the series. I mean, he had a 28-point game last game. In game 2, 30 DK points. Not saying he's going to score that today. I just feel better about other guys. I think I would rather play Dragic for $1,300 less than Butler. Just give me the savings. I'll play Dragic over him. Eric Gordon's someone I haven't really been on lately, but I got lucky. He was in my good lineup that did well on Yahoo on Sunday. It had Gordon and Rondo in it. I kind of got a stealing game from Gordon. He was incredibly hot from the field. Knocked down 8 of 16 shots. Shot 50% from the field, 50% from 3. Didn't do much with the peripherals, but did score 24 points. Chipped in with 1 rebound and 3 assists. Finished with 32 DK points, which still, wasn't a great score by any means. I mean, Gordon's always someone you can play, but I just never feel like I have to play him. Sometimes he's going to make it into my lineups just because there's not a lot of options. It's a 2-game slate. I can't just fade everyone, so I have to play guys. I don't expect Gordon to be in a large majority of my lineups, though, just because I don't think the upside's really there with Westbrook on the floor, with Harden on the floor. You're not going to get 40-point games from Eric Gordon. Rarely is that going to happen. And that's kind of a score that you're looking for at a $5,900 salary. I'm looking for at least 35 DK points from him. For me, I think I'd rather play someone like Tyler Hero, who's coming in $600 less. I definitely like Tyler Hero on this slate. He's another guy that's listed as questionable, but I'm pretty sure he was questionable last game and played, so I'm just going into the slate assuming that Hero plays. Last game played 33 minutes off the bench in that overtime game. Normally gets about 30 to 32 minutes even though he comes off the bench. He's been pretty consistent, definitely has a pretty low floor. He can go out there and disappoint and only give you 20, 22 DK points. But there is somewhat of a ceiling for Hero, especially if he starts knocking down some shots. He can give you 30 plus DK points. At 5,300, I do have interest in him today. I think he is definitely viable. I like the matchup for him against Milwaukee. This should be a matchup where he succeeds. Milwaukee does play at a very fast pace. They do allow a lot of three-point attempts to the opposing teams. I like Hero here at 5,300. I do like him over on Yahoo as well, because if you just look at the shooting guard position, I've been saying it pretty much every slate so far that these two teams have played, or 2 games have played. you really only have 4 playable shooting guards on Yahoo. You're either paying up for Butler or Harden, you're going to the mid-range with Hero, or you're going to play a value play like, maybe Caruso, maybe DiVincenzo if Giannis is out. So honestly, I think Hero is going to probably be one of my highest owned shooting guards again on Yahoo, just because the position is so thin. There's not a lot of options. I don't love paying up for Harden or Butler, so Hero looks like the best option at shooting guard for me. His price did come down to $17. He was $18 on the last slate, so that makes him a bit more appealing as well. He was also, he only scored 18 fantasy points last game, but he was still in my winning lineup on Yahoo. So, even if he puts up 20, 25, with how bad shooting guard is on Yahoo, like that could still be a guy you have in the winning lineup as long as, Harden doesn't go for 70 or Butler doesn't go for 55. You can get away with, 25, 30 from Hero. 30, honestly, would be a really good score for him. So I do like Tyler Hero quite a bit at shooting guard. Duncan Robinson finally had a good game last game. Did see pretty big minutes, got up to 39 minutes. Right now, Jay Crowder is questionable, so, I don't know if Jay Crowder plays. I'm pretty confident that Hero's going to play. But if Crowder winds up out, that would be a boost for Duncan Robinson, a nice bump up for him. He would become way more appealing because I think his minutes will be secure if you take someone like Crowder off the floor. That's just one less guy that can maybe, play the game or close out the game over Robinson. Robinson did put up 35 DK points in 39 minutes, shot the ball really well, which is one of the main reasons, he had such a good game. When Robinson is knocking down shots, he can definitely give you a good score for this salary. So he's viable at 4,200. Then you got the Laker value that I feel like I touch on every slate. Danny Green, KCP. You're never going to feel good putting these guys into lineups, but the minutes are going to be there. KCP got 25 last game. Danny Green played 31 minutes. These guys are not very productive on a point-per-minute basis, but you can sometimes catch a random game where they knock down 3 or 4 three-pointers, get a couple steals, have a few rebounds fall their way. Green, KCP, they can give you around 25 DK points if things go right. They should get the minutes. Caruso as well should get good run off the bench. So these guys are all viable as cheap options. But, if I'm going to play a cheap guy from the Lakers, it's for sure going to be Rondo for me. I think he's just the highest upside value by far, and he's also pretty cheap as well. It's not like they bumped up his price. So, yeah, that's my thoughts there. I think we covered shooting guard, though. Let's move on to small forward now. So here you got Chris Middleton, 8,600. For me, I think it's going to be similar as to what it is with Bledsoe. This is just going to be a wait and see for me. If Giannis plays, Middleton is a fine option on a 2-game slate, but he is very expensive. He's 8,600. You need probably, I would say, over 50 DraftKings points for him to be like a guy you kind of have to have at this salary. I probably won't be playing a ton of Middleton if Giannis plays today, but if Giannis is out, which is something we'll have to wait and see on. This is the first game on the slate, so we'll know that news before lock. If Giannis winds up out, then Middleton does become, along with Bledsoe, Middleton will become one of my favorite plays of the day. I still like Middleton a good amount on Yahoo just because, he's not as expensive over there. He's $33. Also, he's at small forward, which is a pretty weak position overall on Yahoo. You don't have a ton of options here. You're either playing Middleton, Gordon, Robinson. Don't think I really want to play House right now. He's just not getting enough minutes, so you're really only playing Middleton, Gordon, or Robinson. Like, there's not a ton of punt plays I love. You could always punt with Danny Green, punt with KCP, but we know those guys have really low floors. I'm probably going to be off those guys today. There's just better value out there. You have Rondo, who I feel really confident in. I won't have as much exposure to Green and KCP as I have had, the last few slates. So a lot of my small forward exposure on Yahoo is going to be going to Middleton, Gordon, and Robinson. Middleton, if you can pay up here, does look like the best option at $33. Whether Giannis is in or out, he's for sure going to be in a good amount of my lineups on Yahoo. On DraftKings, though, for me to pay nearly $9K for him, I do want Giannis to be out. I think that is a bit of a hefty price tag for Middleton, if Giannis is healthy and playing. But then in the mid-range, you got like Gordon. Covington's always fine at 6,500. He's kind of cooled off after he had, those huge games against OKC. He's really cooled off so far in this series. Hasn't been good in this series. Just 28 and 26 DK points. Sure, there's always upside for Covington. He's a guy that can rebound, can knock down threes, can get defensive stats. Honestly, though, I think I would rather play Eric Gordon for cheaper. 5,900, I'd rather go there. Even Duncan Robinson you have for almost 2,000 less. So you could definitely play Robinson at small forward. Don't really like Kuzma at 4,800. Like, Kuzma's just not getting enough minutes to where I want to play him. 28 minutes in game 1, 21 minutes in game 2. Like, his minutes are just so up in the air. He's not going to be that productive either. Playing alongside LeBron and AD. One of those two guys is going to be on the floor at all times. So Kuzma's tough to trust, even though his price is down. I'd rather play Duncan Robinson, honestly. You got Green and KCP you could always take some shots on as values, but I think we covered small forward here. I guess if Jay Crowder winds up out, Iguodala would become way more appealing. Iguodala would actually be a really good value if Crowder winds up out, because Iguodala's minutes should be secure if Crowder sits. Should play close to 30 minutes if I had to guess. You never know what you're going to get from Iguodala. I mean, last game he literally put up 5 fantasy points in 22 minutes. He has an incredibly low floor. He's not a very productive player, but the minutes I would assume would be pretty secure, if Crowder winds up out. So that's my thoughts there. Let's go ahead and move on to power forward. So at this position, obviously a big injury here. Giannis is questionable. I assume that he plays. It's the playoffs. I assume he just toughens it out and plays here. Assuming he does play, I mean, he is viable at 11,100. He was on pace to absolutely smash last game, but then got hurt. He had put up almost 30 fantasy points in 11 minutes before he got injured. I mean, we know the kind of upside Giannis has. Like, if Giannis would have played out that whole game, like, he was on pace to easily score, over 70, possibly even like 80 Draftkings points. We know the upside Giannis has. There is some question marks here about his, ankle. Even if he does play, is he going to be 100%? That's a big question mark. I mean, he looked 100% last game before he got hurt again, so I would probably have exposure to him if he plays. He was really low owned on the last slate, and he's probably going to be pretty low owned again. So I definitely like Giannis. I feel more confident in LeBron. I feel more confident in AD just because, those guys really aren't dealing with injuries right now. But Giannis, I will for sure have in my player pool. I will definitely not be full fading him. He's going to be in some lineups for me. AD, though, is once again my favorite pay-up option on the slate. I've said it the last 2 slates that he's been on. I'll say it again. Just love this spot for Anthony Davis. I like him a lot on both sides. He is coming in $4 less than Giannis on Yahoo, so you are getting some savings there as well. I mean, this is just a fantastic spot for Anthony Davis. Gonna just get all the opportunity in the world against this undersized Houston team. Should be able to dominate on the glass. Put up 34 and 10 in Game 2, 25 and 14 in Game 1. Gonna play anywhere from 36 to 40 minutes if I had to guess. When he's aggressive, I mean, this dude can just absolutely go out there and crush. Like, he can just score at will. He can get to the basket. When he's aggressive, he's a fantastic rebounder. Should be able to just rebound at will against this undersized team. Honestly, it's kind of disappointing to see AD only put up 56 and 55 through 2 games. Like, I'm surprised we haven't gotten that 70, 75-point game out of AD yet, because I'm pretty sure it's coming at some point. He's going to have one game where he just goes out there and drops like 40 and 20 and just absolutely crushes. It could be here. I wouldn't be surprised, like I said earlier, if they start Anthony Davis at center today, which is, what they've been doing. AD's mainly been just playing center this series. He's most likely, even if JaVale McGee still starts, AD's going to get all his time at center whenever McGee's off the floor. It seems possible that, Dwight Howard won't really play much at all in this series. AD should get all his time at center, which, helps his rebounding numbers, helps his fantasy production overall. PJ Tucker's a good defender, but PJ Tucker's still, undersized when it comes to a guy like Anthony Davis. Still love AD here. Maybe because he's had 2 somewhat disappointing games so far, he won't be that popular today. I know he's been pretty popular the last few slates, but maybe people will go to LeBron now. Now that LeBron's had 2 really good games, people might go there over a guy like AD. I still think AD is the guy I want to pay up for, on this slate. I do like LeBron as well. I'll have exposure to Giannis, but AD for sure going to be my number 1 guy. Then you got Covington, who we talked about. Jay Crowder, he's listed as questionable here. It'll be interesting to see, what his status is. I'm not exactly sure. This is definitely an iffy one because I don't think Crowder's been questionable at all in this series, if I'm not mistaken. I know they've had, like Iguodala's been questionable, Olynyk's been questionable, but this is the first time that Crowder's popped up on the injury report. So we'll have to see if he plays here. I assume he most likely plays. If he's out, though, like I said earlier, that would benefit guys like Duncan Robinson, Iguodala, maybe even Kelly Olynyk would get more run. Crowder, though, if he plays, $5,800 is a pretty hefty price tag for him. I don't think I can pay this price for him on Draftkings. I just think he's too expensive. He needs almost 36 DK points to pay off this price. Sure, he could get that, but I think I'd rather play some other guys for cheaper. If you want to play Crowder on Yahoo, I don't mind that just because he's pretty cheap over there, $18, and you don't have a ton of options at the position to begin with. If you're not paying up for Giannis or AD, you really only have Covington, Crowder, or Kuzma as the only other guys available. There's really no $10 power forwards I like. I guess you could play Marvin Williams if Giannis winds up out, so he could maybe be viable. Markieff Morris did play really well last game, got 22 minutes. I think he might garner some attention today. That'll probably be a spot that I avoid, though. Markieff Morris shot incredibly well from the field last game, literally almost made like every shot he took. That'll probably be a guy that, I'll be underweight on, that I'll most likely fade. So you could definitely play Crowder on Yahoo. DraftKings, though, just too expensive for me, in my opinion. But that's probably it for power forward. If Giannis is out, Marvin Williams, 3,600, would be viable. Like I said earlier, Markieff Morris played 23 minutes last game, shot incredibly well from the field, 6 for 8 from the field, 4 for 5 from 3. I think he does get a good amount of run in this series with the Lakers, playing small. Whenever AD isn't on the floor playing center, Markieff is probably going to be out there as their center. It doesn't seem like they really want to play Dwight or McGee in this series. McGee already only plays like 12 to 10 or 12 to 14 minutes. Dwight didn't play at all last game. So my best guess is Markieff probably plays about 20 to 22 minutes again. He's not the worst value play, but if he's going to be a guy that a lot of people flock to because he had a good game, I'll probably go elsewhere. He's still not that productive of a player, playing alongside LeBron, playing alongside AD. Those guys obviously high usage players, going to take away production from someone like Markieff Morris. If Jay Crowder were to sit, though, Kelly Olynyk would be viable, but he's also questionable, so this will be something we have to watch. I know he did miss one of their 4 games in this series, so we'll have to keep an eye on his status. But if Crowder winds up out, I'm not exactly sure who they would start. If Olynyk winds up starting for Crowder, he's going to be probably the best value play on the slate along with Rondo. So this is just kind of a wait and see for me. If Crowder plays, I probably won't be going to Olynyk. Just not going to get enough minutes, in my opinion. But yeah, I think we covered everything at power forward. Let's hit on center real quick before we end the video. So at the top here, you got Bam Adebayo. Saw his price rise to 8,700 on DK after coming off a big game last game, 56 DK points in 44 minutes. Look, Adebayo has this kind of upside. The price tag is up, kind of the same thing that I've been saying every slate he's been on. If you can pay up at center, by all means play Adebayo. I just don't know if he's someone that I go out of my way to play. Last slate he was in my good lineup because he just kind of fit. I had cheap guys in there. I had Rondo as a cheap guard. I had Hero, who was pretty cheap. That allowed me to pay up for Adebayo, so I kind of got lucky there. I didn't have a ton of him last slate. His price did rise on DK, so I'm not going to have as much exposure to him today. On Yahoo, I think that's where he probably makes the most sense. He only went up to $33. He was 32 last slate, just 33 today. He still looks pretty good if you can pay up at center, but PJ Tucker, we'll talk about him. He's still really cheap on Yahoo, so I definitely like PJ Tucker on Yahoo once again. But if you can pay up for Bam, by all means, go ahead and play him. Most games he's going to give you around 40 to 45 DK points. I don't know if we're going to get another 55 burger from him today, but he's got that kind of upside. He's an incredibly productive player when he gets minutes. Can do everything. Can score, rebound, can get assists. Just a big man that produces in all categories. So for sure, a guy you could pay up for. Brook Lopez at 6K, price tag starting to come up. He's always a guy you could target. Should get the minutes. Played 42 minutes last game. It seems like they're going to give Brook Lopez big minutes every night. He doesn't have the highest upside though. Even in a game where this game 3, he started off really really hot and still only finished with 35 DK points. Brolo is just rarely a guy that you have to win. He just doesn't have that high of a ceiling. Plus his price tag came up, so because there's so few options at center, obviously Lopez is going to be someone I get exposure to. But honestly, I think my highest owned center once again is going to be PJ Tucker, 4,900 on DraftKings, $14 on Yahoo. Still looks like a really good value. I've been playing PJ Tucker a ton, and normally this is a guy that I just hate playing for DFS. But if you watch these games, man, PJ Tucker is out there he's under the basket fighting for rebounds. He's knocking down shots. He's getting to the corner, getting open three-point attempts. And, like I said at the beginning of the video, with the Lakers trapping Harden so much, Harden's having to get the ball out of his hands quickly, having to look to other guys. And PJ Tucker, he can knock down threes. He's actually a decent three-point shooter, especially from the corner. That's where he just shoots the best, it seems. He can give you a double-double. Tucker's got some upside. Got a double-double last game along with 2 assists, 1 block, 1 steal. He can knock down threes. He can grab rebounds. he's got at least 9 rebounds in game 1, 11 rebounds in game 2. He was getting around double-digit rebounds almost every game during the OKC series. Like, he can legit double-double. He can get defensive stats. He's a pesky defender. He'll get blocks. He'll get steals. Like, P.J. Tucker, 4,900 feels like a lot for him, but I think he's still in play at this price tag. He's going to play huge minutes. He got into some foul trouble last game, and he still played 34 minutes even in foul trouble. Most games, if he's not in foul trouble and if it's a close game, you're going to get close to 40 minutes from P.J. Tucker. So even with the price coming up, I still like him a lot, especially because center is just such a thin position. You really only have 3 options here. You're either playing Bam, Brook Lopez, or P.J. Tucker. I don't think you want to go to Jeff Green, like just not getting enough minutes right now, not being productive. Dwight Howard didn't play at all last game, so he's really risky. I guess Markieff and Olynyk could be punt plays. If Crowder winds up out, Olynyk will definitely be viable. Markieff could be a guy you target, but that's probably going to be someone I fade. JaVale McGee, who knows how many minutes he plays today, if he even plays at all. So really center, you only have 3 options here with Bam, Brook Lopez, or Tucker. So Tucker for sure going to make it into a good amount of my lineups once again. I didn't think I'd be playing, P.J. Tucker this much, but he's been really good in this series. He's been good for fantasy, and he's still somewhat cheap on both sides. So definitely like P.J. Tucker once again. But I think that's it for me, guys. I think we covered everything for this 2-game slate. Definitely a fun one because, things are going to get interesting if Giannis winds up out. That's going to really shake up a lot. Even if some of these guys from the Heat, like if Crowder winds up out, that's going to shake up a lot as well. Should be a pretty fun 2-gamer. Definitely excited to play this. This is the slate that I was able to succeed in on Sunday. One of my better lineups. I've been kind of cold recently, but I did, take down a tournament on Yahoo Sunday with these 2 teams, or these same 2 games playing. This was the lineup I had, or the lineup I had Sunday. It was these same 5 players, and then I had Middleton as my small forward, Eric Gordon, and then Bam Adebayo in there. I don't even know if you could play that. Let me see if you could play that real quick. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to play that, but that was the lineup I had on Yahoo on Sunday that did so well. That took down a tournament for me. I still like these same 5 guys though. They all 5 look very appealing once again. So yeah, it should be a fun slate, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I do appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed, hit that like button before we get out of here. Hit the subscribe button as well. Like I said at the beginning, I'm starting to put up NFL content right now on the channel. My NFL video for week 1, my first look, it did go up Monday afternoon. So if you missed that, be sure to check that video out. It is up on the channel right now. I'll have my video up for the Thursday night football game for the Showdown slate sometime on Tuesday afternoon, so be sure to check that out as well. And I'll still be uploading NBA videos every single day. Just got a ton of content coming out right now. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to hit that notification bell so that way you never miss out on any of my new videos. Check out the Patreon content link down below as well. If you do want to get more content from me, I have stuff available on Patreon that you can check out. But best of luck tonight, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.